Jacob shook his head and sighed. Ping Mei used to be a dominant figure in the real estate industry in Orus Hill. He was rich and powerful, and he didn't know who he had offended. He actually fell to this point. A person like him deserves bankruptcy. Claire's face was cold, and she didn't sympathize with the pervert who intended to invade her. Elaine sighed. So Claire, how dangerous is it to start a business on your own? It's possible that if you don't make money, your life will be lost. After that, she looked at Claire and said firmly, so you don't want to do any studio? The risk is too great. If you want me to say, you should honestly return to the Wilson Group. Your grandma has promised you will be the director. You will have $1 million annual salary after you go back. Isn't it better than starting a business yourself? Hearing that her mother always persuades her to return to the Wilson Group, Claire asked very puzzledly, Mom, what kind of ecstasy did Grandma give you? Why do you have to let me return to the Wilson Group? Elaine was also anxious, and said, Isn't it obvious that the Wilson Group is paying an annual salary of $1 million? Isn't it better than your own business? What if you lose money in your business? What should I do with your dad? Claire said firmly, Mom, don't tell me, I will never go back to the Wilson Group again. Even if I go to the streets to beg for food, I will not go back. I don't want to fight for steamed buns, but I have to fight for my breath. Elaine looked like she hated iron but not steel, and taught Claire, keep your breath? What's the use of no money? After Elaine finished speaking, with 2 lines of tears, she said aggrieved, now the Wilson family company is about to close down. If it really closes, your father and I won't get the pension. You know we all rely on this. A sum of money to provide for the elderly. Moreover, even if your grandma does not wait to see your dad still has a stake in the Wilson Group. If you don't go back, the dividend will be gone. What if our old couple is helpless in the future? Claire blurted out, Mom, this is the Wilson family's own mismanagement. If they really go bankrupt one day, they deserve it. Elaine suddenly became anxious. What are you talking about? We have spent so much effort in the Wilson family for so many years. Seeing that the bamboo basket is empty and nothing is gone, have you considered it for Mom? Claire said seriously, I have always considered for you. You told me to hand over most of the salary to you. I have always obeyed. You said you want to take care of all the money in our family. Father and I have no objection to managing money. I follow you in so many places, but you also have to give me a little respect. I don't want to go back to the Wilson Group. I want to start my own business and do something by myself. Can't you support me? Elaine knew that she was wrong, but Claire could only say that she could only sit on the sofa and cried with her face covered, muttering, Why do I have such a hard life? I have worked hard to raise a girl and count on her. Marrying a good husband and being a master, what happened? Your grandfather insisted on recruiting such an inverted son-in-law to come in. Now my daughter doesn't listen to me anymore. This family doesn't care for me anymore. What's the point of being alive? When Claire saw that her mother had begun to sell miserably and engage in moral kidnapping, she was anxious, and said, Mom, don't you want to show Charlie out for everything? Charlie is pretty promising now, then after the villa is renovated for a while, you can live in it. Isn't this dragging Charlie's blessing? Elaine cried and said, What about living in? Isn't it still worrying about living in, for fear that the White family will react and drive our family out again? Claire sighed and said, If you have to cry and worry yourself like this, then I can't help it, or else I rent a house with Charlie outside. Let's move out. Elaine was anxious when she heard this, and stood up and said, Do you want to separate from us? Claire nodded and said, We have been married for several years, and it is time to move out. No. Elaine blurted out immediately, Absolutely not. Claire said seriously, Mom, if you force me to go to the Wilson Group, then I will move out with Charlie. If you don't mention the Wilson Group, then I won't move. Choose one of the two, you see for yourself. Elaine stared at Claire's eyes, knowing that this girl was not joking with her, and suddenly realized that she had played a little too far. If she really kept on crying, making troubles like this, she would probably move out with Charlie. At that time, she would break up with her,